Today I've got this old Sharp cassette player from the 70s. I've got the knobs and stuff off, already got it to pieces, but it's an RS432XA by the look of it. One of these sort of units looked like it had sort of clip-on speakers, external speakers, but it does actually have an internal speaker as well. Basically not doing a lot on the tape deck there. It doesn't seem to have a radio in it, just a tape deck only. Got an old DIN connector on the back. A heap of these old 3.5mm sockets on the end. So we've got left extension speaker, microphone, line in. So it looks like you can turn the on and off the internal speaker. RIF, I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, we'll have a look at what condition this thing's in. It's been lying around in a shed for years, so it's probably not the best condition. It's actually got a, I've already pulled this to bits just to have a look, but actually got an internal chassis in it. How old it is, so we've got the speaker on the front there and the cassette door. Not sure how that ejects. Ah, there it is, that's the eject mechanism there, I think. Oh yeah. That's completely different, so that's at the top of the door. And this is the unit inside. Quite dirty, bit of rust on it. Yeah, the old belt's not the best in it. Oh, we've got a spring falling out already. And now we'll go around the front. Got the old level meter here for the battery and probably recording level. A few pots in the top there. And yeah, a lot of rust and corrosion. Yeah, we've got the date 28th of July 1973 on the motor. It's a Matsushita, or Matsushita, however you say it. 3.2 volt, I think that says. Oh, 13.2 volt. MHT5U or something like that. Yeah, no sign of a speed regulator, speed adjustment pod in this. So it may have some sort of external trim pot somewhere. Looks like it, the wires out of it go to a capacitor and an inductor. And the wiring, that probably goes back to a switch. There's a switch on the back of the deck there. The motor at least turns, so that's a good sign. So we'll try out and see. The play goes in and the heads are on. That looks bent for starters. Now, I don't think that should be sticking up like that, but not sure what that does. But yeah, the mechanism doesn't seem to be sticking into place. Let's fast forward. And the rewind's bringing up this idler, which the rubber's in surprisingly good condition for its age. Recorder won't work unless we press that in. So at least that works. Yeah, stop button's sticking. Yeah, that's bent by the look of it. Not sure if I can bend that back straight a bit. Might help a bit. No, that's stopped it jamming at least. We still don't have any latching. And yeah, that probably because the belt's stuffed in it. Play, oh, it's starting to come across now. Play idlers wasn't engaging, now it is. And fast forward doesn't seem to do anything. Rewind doesn't latch. Yeah, I don't think this is, no, it's not going back. That might be stopping things latching. No. The stop button should unlatch everything. I think that's the latching bar there. Ah, here's something happened then. Ah, yeah, that's it. So if I push that back, it seems to latch the button and stop unlatches. Doesn't seem to get fast forward to latch, but I can get rewind to. What's that button? That's record. That record's going now because it's stuck up. Play doesn't want to latch. Maybe not. No, it does kind of latch. So, not sure how this thing powers up. I don't see a power transformer in it. That's an interesting point actually. Where does the power come from? It was made to run on batteries, or no, there's not even a battery compartment here. Yeah, that's odd. Maybe that's what that plug on the back does. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe that DIN connector has something to do with power. That's very interesting. Yeah, I've never really seen one of these units before. Microphone line in, yeah, so we have no idea where the power comes from. So I can't even really fire it up and see what's going on. Although I could fire up the motor, I guess. Doesn't give me much idea what's going on there. It might make sense why it's got a DIN connector on it, as well as all these other line sockets. Yeah, I don't think there's much point even trying to find that. Well, we've got play there. If I turn the caption, so at least that's working, even though it probably shouldn't be at the moment because I'm not in play. That. Yeah, I think this unit's probably beyond worth doing anything with, especially if I haven't got power for it. But yeah, it's an interesting old unit anyway. Don't see a lot of them from the 70s. Now interestingly, yeah, it's latching again. Well, that's something, so we've loosened something up. But interesting that play idler doesn't seem to come back from the play mode. Maybe it's not meant to. There's a lever down there and it doesn't actually move in any mode. It's C solid, I think. That's the problem. Oh yeah. Yeah, this deck would need a lot of stripping down and lubricating. Because yeah, a lot of these plates are obviously seized up. Yeah, amazingly the rubber parts still seem to be reasonably intact besides the belt. So the idlers are actually, let's move that back out a bit. Oh, it does disengage a little bit now. But yeah, there's not much point doing anything with this one. Red wire there and orange. Is that orange related to the yeah, that goes back to the DIN connector. So that probably is our power in. So maybe this is designed so that when the motor switch is engaged, it powers the unit up. Brown wire I think goes to the motor, yeah. And the orange wire to the socket, so the red wire would most likely fire up the electronics. Goes onto the amp board here, to the output transistors. So I assume that's what that motor runs off at, around 13 volts. Black wire is probably the ground. Goes to some connector resistor there. And that goes to there, so that would be a negative. There's a fair chance, if you stick around 12 volts in there, that we can get this thing going. Go slightly higher than 12. Nothing to really lose. So which one is that? The blue one. Oh yeah, we got motor. We've got a light on. So it keeps falling off. Sparking up. There'll be stuff that actually goes into play. Pinch roller, take up, surprised they've got a bit of torque on it. Fast forward doesn't do anything, so something's jammed up there. Rewinding gauges, but nothing's rewinding. Oh, here we go. Yeah, not a lot of torque there. That actually looks bent, that. God, someone's been in this and messed around, I think, because that wheel looks bent as well. Try to bend that straight a bit more. It's not great. Yeah, play idlers. Take up. Reel is starting to go when it shouldn't. Yeah, because this isn't dropping back. But possibly if we hook that speaker back up, we might have some sort of sound operating here. Not hearing anything as I connect to it, though. Volume. The rest of the case, oh, of course it's there. Got tone, balance and volume is near the light. I'm not hearing anything from the amplifier at all. Whether the speaker's any good, it looks a bit rotted. Yeah, it might be seized up actually. It's got 8 ohms on it, but I think it moves just. Real good. I'll grab this little CV speaker here. Don't get anything out of that. Bearing on the motor or something's getting a bit squealy. Of course, get one in and the other one falls out. There's no sign of anything from the speaker output, but that could be because Well, actually, oh, there is an external speaker switch here, I think. Ah, here we go. Yeah, that's the tape head. Just put a bit of a magnetised screwdriver near it. Yeah, that's definitely going. No idea what that switch does. So I know that works. Try the internal speaker again. Yeah, it does work. Not in very good condition, but it is usable. I reckon that'd near actually play a tape. We get that to disengage. The head's pretty dirty, not surprisingly. But I can put a crappy old tape in there and I don't think it'll worry it too much. Just clean everything a bit so I don't get too much muck on the tape. I think I might have enough torque to actually pull a tape through. What have I got here? Sounds pretty slow. Yeah, a little loud and flutter, I think, and getting slower. The belt's slipping a bit. That's probably the main problem. Yeah, it's not hard to stall it. The capstan's running fairly freely. Let's just remove the power. Maybe get the belt off the motor. It's not the best sounding, that capstan. Making quite a bit of noise, which is not a good sign. Right, let's put a plastic. I'll just put a little bit of light oil on there. And get that down the bushing. Oops, a bit too much. But why don't this thing, it needs plenty of oil in it. Spinning the capstan by hand, but it doesn't seem to be. Oh, that's what's actually making that noise, is the. That's, yeah, it's nice and free now. Oh, look at that, it just keeps spinning. Still going. A bit of that oil must have got down there. Still running. God, I can't stop it. Yeah, that's another spinning as freely as. I'll put that little plastic thing back on. Well, that's made it a bit noisy again. What's it, this idler come across? Yeah, if I lift that plastic thing up a little bit, that is spinning and spinning and spinning. So that's a good sign the capstan's alright. Just clean any oil off the surface. Get it on the tape. Oops. Speaker's unplugged itself. Power earth back up. Okay, I can hear the motor's making quite a bit of noise. So it's not a good sign. Let's check it out. But not totally surprising either, given its age. So what I might do is move the sticker, disconnect that, or remove that motor. So I can find my small screwdriver. There was one here a while ago, but naturally it's disappeared again. There. I've got a magnetic screwdriver here. Get that washer out. It's the orange wire. Okay, our motor's free. This old one, you can actually open it up. It's got screws on the side of the case here. But I don't think there's a lot in there to see. There's no regulator in these ones, I don't think. No electronic control. There's not even a bearing, just a bit of rubber down in there. And it gets the front off as well. A bit of rubber. Yeah, it certainly doesn't sound the best. Again, I might just put a little dab of oil on there, just to try and get that bushing lubricated. And just hold the motor this way up so it runs down inwards. That's feeling, that's much better. That's coming loose now. God, this is so old. The actual pulley on it's got little grub screws to hold it on. You can actually, not just a push-on plastic one like modern cassette players. I can already feel that's freed up quite a bit. Might even be worth just putting a little dab on this back one as well. Holding the motor upside down now so that hopefully that oil, not sure if that shaft's actually turning, is it? No, it is. Try and get that oil to soak downwards into the motor. It's not doing a lot at the moment, but some of it will get in there. And then I'll just clean off the excess with the cotton bud. Definitely don't want any oil where the belt goes or anything like that, so we'll give that a clean after as well. The pulley. Does this go any particular way? I don't think it does. It doesn't matter by the look of it. Yeah, just a matter of getting that rubber so the wire comes out of that little slot, and the rubber's got a piece that goes between these two wires. And then the front just matches the screw holes. So this doesn't seem to want to go right on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that should be all there is to that. So at least this motor, we might be able to get it running without the wound and flutter, although we may have to put another belt in there too to get it to run properly, but it might just get away with it. So I'll just get a fresh cotton bud with a bit of methylated spirits on it. And just give that pulley a clean. Should do this, clean all these pulleys and stuff when you're doing a new build in tape deck anyway, but just so I make sure I've got no oil or anything on there. Even grease off your fingers and stuff doesn't do it much good, so best to clean everything as you go. Get these holes wound up. Where are ya? Nah, of course, not magnetized this one. Well, not much. Have to get around to magnetising these screwdrivers. Give them a rub on a magnet and... Oops, yeah, no, that's definitely not magnetised. Basically this magnetron, out of a microwave magnetron, you can pull the magnets out of it and perfect for magnetising screwdrivers on. And you know, first couple of times it will wear off the magnetism, but you just do it a few times and you should find that the magnetism stays, so that's holding that perfect now. Motor back in, holes lined up. There's one of them. That screw head's just about stuffed, but they're tight enough. Yeah, it's all rusted out, that one. Get the belt back around this, around the capstan, around the reel, pulley and, oops, onto the motor. So 12 volt went on the orange one, 12 or 13 volts, whatever we got. Speed it back up. And negative on the track on the amp board. There's a bit of, I think, a bit of motor noise coming out of the speaker, but yeah, it's... Oh, now we've got no reel. Oh, there it goes. We're slipping on the belt, are we? Yeah. Oh, belt's just about given up. Not surprisingly. Ironically, I lubricate everything and now the belt doesn't want to work. Maybe the motor's going a bit too fast for it now. Yeah, once I put the load of the pinch roller on there, it's stalling. Yeah, now we're going to take up reels, really not, or pinch roller are not operating. So sometimes the way. And I pulled the belt off. It's come off the capstan. Yeah, amazing, doesn't want to work at all now. So I might have to put a new belt on that if I've got one the right length. So this bracket's going to have to come off. I think we're going to have to take the tape deck case to do it. Is it those 4 screws maybe? Look at this speaker again. So yeah, very corroded condition here, but I think we're going to take all these 4 screws out from this bracket. Yeah, that's coming loose now. So remove that and we can basically get our belt out, give all the pulleys a clean. Quite dirty, that's nice and free. Capstan's nice and free. Besides that, that just keeps spinning. I'll just clean this little idler wheel here, clean the rubber bit and clean the outside of the capstan. Yeah, that's really nice bushing on that because this just keeps spinning. Yeah, this is, see how slowly that moves. That's fairly stiff, so that probably needs some work as well. Little circlip here. Take that off. Take this little red washer off. And there's a spring on this as well. Yeah, it's so stiff it doesn't even want to come off. Actually, it looks a bit bent as well. So that's the idler here. There's the spring. So if I can use a pair of side cutters to grab that. Let's see if I can get it out of the eyelet there. I think that one's been bent around. There it is. It's not a very nice one. I'll be able to pull this end out of the plastic. Being very careful because this old plastic might be getting a bit brittle, but usually it's pretty good quality in these things. So I have to use a screwdriver to try and prise this idler arm up. That is very tight. Come on, that's it. So whatever grease used to be on there is completely gone hard and dry and horrible. You can see the muck at the bottom here is just, that was grease once. And whatever liquid kind of oily stuff it had in it is long gone. So give that paste a clean, remove what I can from here. Yeah, it's just like a powder almost now, or paste. And I'll put a little bit of grease back on that shaft. Just use a little screwdriver. Add a bit of a coating. Put that back on. Run it up and down a couple of times just to make sure there's plenty of grease right through. Maybe even shove the screwdriver down the inside of that and get a bit of grease in there. It's certainly looser than it was. Still doesn't feel 100%. No, that's alright, I think. Oh, I got some sort of muck, some sort of fluffy stuff there, so I don't know what that is. Something coming off somewhere. Oh, yeah, that's a lot better. Just get rid of that muck off my screwdriver. So I'll put that washer back on and try and get this little circlip back on without losing it. So just make sure that's starting to go into the slot, and you can just use some flat pliers like this. Needle nose will work, but these tend to be a bit better, I think. Moves fairly freely. Not sure if it's as good as it should be. It kind of looks To me that looks like it's been bent to the side. It's not. Yeah, that's better. It wasn't coming in, you know, square to the capstan there, so the surface of the idler probably wasn't engaging properly, but that's alright now. Now I've just got to get the spring back on with the side cutters. See if I can just get that end of that spring back through that hole. Yeah, it's a little, someone's bent this round more than they usually would be, but I can just, yeah, that's it. Poke it through. Perfect. Yes, that springs back beautifully now. Oops, I've just pulled the bloody clip off that. That's handy. That probably should be lubed as well. That's actually not too bad. It seems free. If you were doing a proper rebuild, you would have to take every one of these little idlers off. Little plastic clips, slide them off, clean the shafts, lubricate everything. Some of these reels, they're pretty, that one's not so good, but they're reasonably free. But yeah, you would take them off as well and definitely re-lube that. So now we're back to, yeah, it's a little noisy, so it's probably a bit dry in there. I think this will actually come apart. This has got a clutch and stuff on it, so it's going to have a spring. If I get this little clip off. And just watch this doesn't all go flying, because yeah, that's all, there's a spring under there, not particularly high tension. Yeah, a bit of dust and muck in there. And there's our clutch. Little felt pad there. Yeah, they haven't made that easy. I reckon I can just get a tiny dab of oil on that shaft. But I definitely don't want any on that cloth. If I can just run a little bead down like that, yeah, perfect. Yeah, this cloth wants to stay oil free and lubricant free. This little felt pad thing, and just try and get a bit of that in, and then just cotton buds at its date. Try and soak up any excess there so it doesn't run out onto the felt pad, and get a bit of oil on that shaft. Now this could also do with the clean. This, we'll just use a bit of paper towel for that. Just clean that bit of pulley off the face where it goes onto the felt pad. I won't have to clean all of it just to get the muck off it. Oops. Try that out. That's nice and clean now. That spins beautifully. Put the spring back on. Looks like that slots in those little bits. Bit of dust on that, just remove any dust and muck off that. And yeah, there's other little pieces there that the spring should clip into. But as that rotates, that should just find its place. And put the little plastic clip back on. Being very careful not to lose it. It's still a little noisy. Certainly spins a bit better than before. And now what do I do with my belts? Probably a size I don't have, but I can see. What is it, a 1.4? All these 69s, they must be getting around that length. That might actually do it. That's actually a pretty damn good fit. Yeah, a lot of corrosion. but that doesn't really matter on the metalwork there. I'll just put a couple of these screws back in for now, because I'll probably take that belt back out, because yeah, I don't think this unit's really worth doing anything with. Be good spare parts unit for someone, that's about it. Okay, get that back in place. There's a little earth tab there. And I'm going to hook this blue wire back up. Even though I think that might go off to the remote socket for the microphone, which just basically has a switch in it that turns the power on and off to the motor, but I guess it's still possible the motor won't run without that. That'll do for now. Okay, so I probably should put one or two screws back in there because that's corroded. Put that earth wire back on and just hold it in the case. I probably could even put a little bit of oil just on a couple of these, just a very small amount. You don't want to get oil in too many places. Yeah, it's already freed that up all of it, so it returns. Yeah, it's better than it was before. It wasn't sliding right back, so just a little bit of oil is enough to get that working again. Speaker on. Earth connected. Motor really has a bit of a startup current. I think it just stopped. I made a good connection here. Oh, that's probably, no, that's still there. No, I'm not connected, I don't think. I don't know, something's happened. Oh, I've killed it. That'd be right. Fix everything and it dies. It doesn't help that socket's touching on things. Here we go. Yeah, we've got motion again. Pinch roller's got quite a good bit of torque. It's a little slippy there. Probably not fully in contact. Yeah, that probably needs a bit of lubrication as well. The reel's only just got enough torque, I think, to not chew a tape, but it'll do for now. That sounds better. Seems to have got rid of the what's going on there? That record lever. Got rid of the wow and flutter in it. Look, it's chewing now. Didn't like that too much. Probably because there's a lot more tape on that. Yeah, it's working now. This actual tape is. good sounding deck, but that could be that speaker. The fact that that speaker cone's been wet or something. But I haven't managed to get the thing going again in a basic way. Yeah, that certainly is at risk of starting to chewing tapes. Rewind basically, oh, there we go. Wasn't working. That's actually got quite a lot of torque now, so lubing up that lever and getting that bend out of it, I can almost hardly stop that. It's just amazing that those idlers are still in that good a condition. So I could probably pinch the idler off this reverse one and put it on the, or just swap the reels over. That's I could probably do with the clean as well, and that would probably actually give it a lot more torque in play. Yeah, fast forward doesn't really do much. That should, what should happen? I think that should move across. It can't move across, so how does it get onto the... You'd expect that idler to come across to the take-up reel in fast forward, but I can't see how it can get over there. So that's the one on that lever that I lubricated before. Probably could get over there because I thought the lever was below it, but it's above. Yeah, still it's a fixed length. Oh, maybe the bit it's on moves, is that what it is? Could be, that could be meant to push the whole idler assembly down, maybe? I'm not sure if that motor should turn off like it should. Ah, yeah, okay, so then we've got another bit sticking the lever that does the switch. There's a whole plate in here, which is, again, there's a couple of pins through it, which a bit of oil on those will probably, just a small amount, loosen that up. So when I press stop here, it should turn the motor off, as you'd expect. And the stop eject is sticking again. That might be because this, I haven't screwed this unit back down, doesn't help. That's better. Yeah, so now the motor stops when we hit stop eject. Fast forward still doesn't do much. There's another plate there, could do with a bit of, someone's put a, maybe someone's put a screw in it. Oh, that's maybe our eject. No. No, I'm not sure how the fast forward's meant to work, but geez, that rewind's got heaps of torque. But play, yeah, not a lot, but probably enough. I mean, given that the pinch roller is doing all the work in play, that just has to pull the take-up reel, just has to pull the tape back into the case, so it's probably okay. It really probably worth cleaning both the little pulley there and the rubber wheel on the take-up reel. Certainly pretty dirty, because it seems to be the take-up reel is slipping against this other little. Yeah, it doesn't stop the other wheel, it just slips against it. It's not much better really, but yeah, there's enough there I think to be passable. So I won't have to clean that a good clean even while it's running. Oh, another tape here. That ain't happy. And surprisingly, the seems to be more the pinch roller that's slipping than the, oops, favourite cord lever. Pinch roller is slipping more than the actual capstan or anything now, because we've got the new belt on it. No, even that's not good. Still a little bit of wow and flutter there by the sound of it. Another little speaker up. It's got to be better than the one that's in it. Okay. Now I think the old motor might be still a bit dicky. But anyway, goes to show there is still some life in an old unit like this. And given, you know, it probably hasn't been used for, I'd hate to think how long, 30 years or more probably, could be 40 years. Going by the condition it's in, but even with all that corrosion, it shows you can resurrect these old things if you really want to. I'm very surprised that the idlers are in such good condition. Usually the rubber would be falling to bits, but it's got a rubber wheel around each reel. Another little rubber wheel there. There's one on the other side from this centre idler that goes against the capstan. So there's one, two, you know, to do rewind, there's 3 different idlers, and yeah, it nearly got so much torque I can't stop it with a new belt in it, which is quite amazing. But anyhow, I think I'll take my belt back out of that and chuck this on the junk heap, this one. Might be good for parts of someone, or maybe some of those idlers I can pinch and use in another unit, because this deck looks quite familiar. I think a lot of later ones would use a very similar setup to this, but they're probably somewhat different. Knowing what life's like, but it's possible that some of the later Sharps also use this deck. Yeah, this plate here is still a bit bent. And yeah, I'm not sure that motor's actually much good, because we've seen how wow and flutter, even though I've freed up the capstan, put a new belt in it. And the pinch roller seems to be working alright. I could probably do with a little lube, but it's not too bad. But yeah, the fast forward doesn't work at all, and this whole deck would have to be stripped down and completely re-lubricated, clean everything, re-lube it. The pots that obviously they're pretty scratchy, need to clean. Even these circuit boards probably just want a toothbrush and methylated spirits or something like that, just to scrub all this crap off. There's this foam is some sort of something the manufacturer put in there, probably just to push against the back panel or something, stop it vibrating, but that's all had its day. It's just fallen to pieces. And yeah, most of these connectors and stuff probably aren't the best with the amount of corrosion on them. But it's quite amazing that yeah, the meter still works, the light globe still works. And yeah, this speaker cone is all deformed. It's actually tearing when I press on it now. It's all pushed in and out of shape, so that's pretty well had its day. But I don't think there'll be many of these units left above ground these days. I seem to remember, I think even the schools and stuff may have used things like this back in the day with detachable speakers. But certainly interesting old unit for, like I say, going on 50 years old. And yeah, been sitting around completely neglected, and yet they were so well built that even though someone seems to have fiddled with it and bent things and stuff, it's still just about functional. So there you go, thanks for watching.